All right, so real quickly, I'm gonna also show you 7.2 y equals mx plus b notes. And so the last few days or notes are going to be very similar, only we're going to start to use the official language. And this is a little bit of algebra for you, but y equals mx plus b. The m is your rate of change, which is what you're familiar with hearing. And the b is your beginning point, is what I want to ingrain into your head, because starting point has an S, beginning point has a B. They mean the same thing, but I think it's easier to remember beginning, B, point. Okay, so remember the beginning point is where your graph intersects the y-axis, and it's where x is equal to 0. What's that y value? And that y value is your B, or your beginning point. Okay, so in this equation, we're given this equation and we want to put it into a table. So remember our function machine. This is our function machine where you input these values. These are your inputs. And on the flip side, you get these outputs. So if I put in y equals 2, I'm going to plug in -1 in parentheses instead of x, plus 1. So 2 times -1 is -2, plus 1 is -1, and then I put my output there. So at 0, when I have a 0, I'm going to plug in 0 for x, using parentheses. 2 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1. And then I'm just going to finish out this table Okay, what it wants you to then do is take your x and y values and write ordered pairs. So we have our x values here with our respective y values. So -1, -1, 0, 1, 1 and 3, 4 and 9. Those are our ordered pairs. Now we're going to plot those points using our knowledge of graphing. Okay, and I can connect the points and extend them further because we know it's a line, which means it continues in both directions. It'd be helpful if you could see it. Alright, so that's how you find, and as you can see, this graph does not connect through the origin. In fact, it starts at 1. That's where my graph, this purple line, where the line crosses the y-axis, and that's your starting point. Okay, problem 2. Well, we want to figure out our constant rate of change. So every time our y value decreases by 1. And that's change in y is -1 over change in x, which is adding 1 every time. So -1 divided by 1 is a -1, and that is our rate of change, which we can write as m equals -1. So we're going to start to incorporate those variables. Okay, our starting point is given to us, and I'm going to highlight it when x is 0, y is 2. So b equals 2. Then it says we're going to write the equation by plugging it in. So if we originally had y equals mx plus b, we are now going to have y equals -1x plus 2. And what we want to do is rewrite our table as ordered pairs. So we have -1, 3, 0, 2, 1, 1, 2, 0. We're going to graph those points. Don't forget to connect them and extend them past the dots, because there are more than just the 4 on the table. And I know some of you are saying, but Mrs. Hazelton, I don't need a -1 here. That's true. I could just write it -x plus 2. All right, so real quick, we're going to do the problems at the bottom that I should have done as we went, but I didn't realize they were for the problems above. So in the problems above, use the problems above, this problem, to answer these questions. So if y equals -5, what is the value of x? And so what we can do is we can find where is it -5 and what is our value for, when y equals -5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. And you probably can't see it, but it should equal, x should equal 3, -3. Okay? If x equals -5, that means I go here. What does y equal? And it's somewhere down here. It should be -9. So one way we can do this is we can solve for it by what we did up here in the function machine, up top. So y equals 2 times -5 plus 1. This would be -10 plus 1, which equals -9. Does the point 511 work in the equation? Well, let's test it. Y equals 2 times 5 plus 1. And that will, in fact, equal 11. So yes, it does. Okay, now let's answer the questions next door. So, in problem 2, if y equals 5, what is the value of x? So, when y equals 5, x is about 1, 2, I would say it's about 3, -3, so x equals -3. And that's about right here. Okay? What is the value of y when x equals 4? Well, we're going to plug it back into our equation from up above. Y equals -1 times 4 plus 2, and -4 plus 2 is equal to -2. Now let's test this point by plugging in y equals -3 and -1 plus 2. So 3 plus 2 equals 5. No, because it really should equal 1, and it doesn't. So that is not an ordered pair that falls on the line. Okay, so these are your notes. Take these notes, and then tomorrow we'll do practice problems 3 and 4 in class.